I'm Ken Smith, and this is a special episode of the Florida Lighthouses Show. Welcome to the Florida Lighthouses Show. Please click the subscribe button. We will keep you up to date on everything going on with our 30 remaining historic lighthouses in Florida. Meet Craig Kittendorf. For many years, Craig has been a ranger at the St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge, and he represents the St. Mark's Lighthouse on the Florida Lighthouse Association board. It grieves me to share that Craig passed away recently. But for one of his last duties, he put together an update on the St. Mark's Lighthouse for an FLA membership meeting. This included an overview of the hundreds of archaeological elements that were uncovered during their recent renovation. The St. Mark's Lighthouse was built in 1842. That is 3 years before Florida became a state. It has withstood hurricanes, a tidal wave, war, having been shelled twice by the U.S. Navy during the Civil War, fire, and the ravages of nature. Through efforts by a coalition made up of the U.S. government, the state of Florida, the Friends of the St. Mark's Wildlife Refuge, and the Florida Lighthouse Association, the lighthouse has been beautifully restored and is open to the public. Photographers love it because it has avoided development around it thanks to it being on National Wildlife Refuge land. Let's join Craig Kittendorf as he makes his presentation.
A lot of you came before our renovation, so I'm going to show some pictures of what it was like to refresh your memory, and for those that hadn't been, for you to see what we were up against. It would be possible without grants from the Florida Lighthouse Association, from our Friends of St. Mark's, and from the state. The state came through with like $750,000. I think they like us because we're close to the Capitol, and legislatures, they want to impress somebody with what they're doing. They can bring them down and show them, this is what I do. So there's some damage in the ceiling. Shutters and outside. You see a lot of wood rot. The roof shingles. We think that's one of the oldest hinges we have. One of the upper shutters. I'll show you it again later. The glass on the lantern room, some glass, some plexiglass. You see where we taped up some of the cracks. The center pedestal in the watch room, holding up the lantern room floor. Some of you remember the bars on the windows. When the Coast Guard abandoned the lighthouse, we had a lot of vandalism, so we put bars on them. Then we started renovations in 2017 through 2018. This is some of the damage you did not see if you visited before, some of the termite damage up in the attic. Fortunately, we did have treatment, and that was then there was no active termites. There's some more showing the damage to the wood. The long-lost cistern that we didn't know exactly where it was until we tore the floor up. There's the inside the cistern. They also had a drainage from the outside that went down into the cistern. An external cistern. This is some of the lumber from the floor, and we were able to read some of the writing on there. And most of the floor, if you're here before, was covered in plywood painted gray. There was one room that had this beautiful floor in it. The lumber, instead of being 1x, 2x, is a lot thicker. That's something we had to dig all that out. It's, I guess, concrete made out of limestone and shells and everything else. This is one of the floor joists. You see where the end is carved out there. The floor joists are supported on each end with a hole in the wall that's supposed to fit into, and nothing other than that. So it was kind of spongy when you walk on it. There's one of the places it went into. We think that is where it was burned in the Civil War. And that's one of the ends of the joist that is still stuck in the building. There's one of the bottles. We find out some kind of condiment bottle. It's the only whole piece that we found. Wooden buttons, belt buckles, and a flour sack. Some newspapers, some odds and ends. We don't know exactly what they were for. See a domino up there, sole from a shoe, some bones, belt. A lot of pottery shards. So I don't know if those people were very clumsy, broke a lot of dishes, but all this was found under the floor of one room. And why not the other 3 rooms? And why so much in one spot? Pieces of metal. You can't tell for sure. It's just these are stairs going up. And we were up there one day looking at the place, and those floors, steps fell away as we went to step. And as we're standing on the precipice, you could hear the step bouncing 75 steps down. And you think, that could have been me. We had to replace 5 or 6 in that area. This is some of the windowsills. We don't understand why. This one had concrete on top. And that one is brick. Most of them, the rest of them are wood. That's the cistern cleaned up. This is the back wall. We don't understand what these holes are for, slots. The bottom's kind of slanted, so it wasn't to hold anything. But they're all the way across that back wall. So we pick up the stone or what it's for, I don't know. I did leave a little window that you'll be able to look in and see what they look like. This is one of the hedges I showed you earlier. And we had replicas made. There they are in place. Some more hinges that we had replicated. That's one spot on the wall in the bottom of the tower. There's a piece of 4x8 plywood on the wall that had electrical on it. We took that off, and that spot, for some reason, we can't get the paint to stick. So you'll see it's bubbling. I guess it wasn't prepared because it's the bare brick. It's never been painted before. Some of the windowsills outside. This was found underneath that wooden windowsill. This is the only place on the outside. This door here goes underneath the steps. We call it the cellar or the basement. You go through that door, and about 3/4 of the way down, there's a brick wall. We never knew what was beyond that brick wall from the other side. So we found, when we did the porch, we tore up the porch and got to that room. So there's another room. Beyond that, there's one more room filled with debris and dirt. We think that was, we know it's underneath what we call the office now. So what those 2 rooms are used for, I think they're used for storage, oil storage at one time. 2014, we took the lens out. As I was up there, one of the guys started to grab the glass instead of the frame, which would have been disastrous. The crane that was donated by someone, just Lighthouse enthusiast, donated the use of the crane. 2019, Dan Spinella came up and we installed the Fresnel lens that you see now. This is going through final inspection. One of our inspectors crawling up the wall. So those oak snakes are pretty good climbers. But they're a good thing to have because they get rid of the rodents. And we think like a lot of that debris, the belts and papers and all that, was probably dragged under the floor by rats. The glass I don't know how that got there. We've got a plaque honoring our restoration. We have a Facebook page for the Lighthouse. I'm not good about keeping it up to date. Then we had the Refuge, official Refuge site, and the Facebook for the Refuge. And those that don't have them, don't forget to get your stamps. I moved them down to the Lighthouse. And with that, I thank you for putting up with me, and I'd like to thank again Craig Musgrove, the chaplain.
Thank you, Craig. The grants from the Florida Lighthouse Association are funded in part by sale of the Visit Our Light Specialty License Plate Program. If you live in Florida, you should have one of these on your car. You need to visit the St. Mark's Lighthouse. It's part of the St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge and is open on a regular schedule. The link for more information is in the comments. For more information about the Florida Lighthouse Association and our grants programs, our link is in the comments too. Please click the subscribe button.